Hello, book lovers, and welcome to Book Talk Radio Club. My name is Claire Perkins, and today I'm talking to author Chloe Sunstone. Chloe is the author of two cybercrime thrillers, the most recent having just been published last month, titled Ginger Snapped. The tagline is, "How does an amazing professional opportunity descend into a living nightmare?" Sounds good. So, hi, Chloe, welcome, and thank you for coming on Book Talk Radio Club.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So first of all, would you like to give Book Talk Radio Club's listeners a brief synopsis of Ginger Snapped?
I'd be honored. Years ago, my husband and I took a trip out to San Francisco. I have some family out there, and we fell in love with the area. We live in Cleveland. And at that point, we considered briefly relocating out there. We didn't pull the trigger, but years later, I was reflecting on that discussion and decided to write a fictional world where a couple would actually make that move and how that decision could threaten their lives, their beliefs, everything. So in Ginger Snap, the husband accepts a job on the other side of the country, and without knowing it, there's an identity theft ring being run by the key players in that company. And when he's unwilling to kind of play along, his wife Ginger ends up the target of a ruthless killer.
Ah, right. So Ginger Gibson and her husband Jake are the main characters in the book. Did you base their personalities on anyone in particular, or are they an amalgam of people you know?
They're very loosely based on my husband and I.
Oh, okay.
In the case of Ginger, though, what I did was I basically mixed in every successful woman that I've ever worked with in my professional career. And with Jake, I added a sliver of what you call the proverbial Prince Charming and created these two characters from that.
That's interesting because when I normally ask this question, I get, well, mostly in amalgam. I never get whether they're based on myself and my husband. I like that. Did you find as you were writing that Ginger and Jake began to take on a life of their own and were in fact telling you their story?
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting. All of my characters seem to do that to me.
Yeah.
Random ideas pop into my head as I'm writing. Like all of a sudden they'll have a stutter that they didn't have a stutter before, or some odd mannerism will come out of the character, kind of unplanned, unexpectedly. And actually, it's to the point now where, with the second book, I found myself laughing when my characters were laughing or crying when they were crying. It's amazing how they actually become real people in my head.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get totally emotionally involved with them, don't you?
You do. You fall in love with them.
So is Ginger Snap the first in a series or a one-off?
It is a standalone book, but it is the first in the series.
Oh, right.
So I've actually already started on the second Ginger book.
Oh. The Mentor is your first book, also a cybercrime thriller. Would you like to tell us about that too?
Absolutely. Now, that book is very different from Ginger Snapped. Mentor follows the journey of Arthur. He's kind of a geeky software engineer type who falls in love with an intern that he's mentoring. Their love is ill-fated because she doesn't really return his feelings. And due to his past, there are other forces out there trying to destroy him. And his love for this intern puts her in grave danger as well.
So what kind of people are they, Nerdy Arthur and Sage, his mentee, I should say?
Yeah, so Sage is smart, but she's very young, she's careless, and she's naive.
Mm-hmm.
She's a ton of mistakes. She misreads people's signals, and she's somewhat morally compromised. She's a little bit of a wild girl. Arthur, on the other hand, he's kind of odd. He's very strong in some of his religious views as far as being an atheist. He's unable to see the truth in social cues as well, which is why they don't understand each other. And he's more the type who's far more comfortable with computers versus people.
Right.
The actual best character in that book is Dominic. He kind of takes on a mentor role to Arthur, and he's a successful man. He's a black man. He's a Christian man. He's very grounded, married, kids, all that sort of thing. So he's kind of the antithesis of what Arthur is.
But actually talking about family man, both main characters in your books have great relationships and happy lives, which is refreshing, as many of the books I read, and believe me, I read many, I seem to feature angst-ridden detectives or main characters whose lives are falling apart, and it's only their jobs that keep them going. Why did you choose to go in the happy relationship, happy family direction, Chloe?
Well, you're 100% correct about the Ginger series. Jake and Ginger are a happy couple, a strong relationship. And, years ago I got some advice, which was write what you know.
Mm,
And it was just easier for me to write that because I'm very lucky. I'm blessed with a great marriage. I have a wonderful husband. It's just kismet for me.
mm,
Uh, Now, Arthur, on the other hand, is a totally different book. He's not in a great relationship. He's kind of a victim of unrequited love and sexual inexperience.
mm.
So they're two very different types of books. But to your point about jobs, it's funny. I see that as well. Many books, many movies, many TV shows, they try to make a character's jobs be kind of the anchor for their
Mm,
life.
yeah,
But my experience after 25 years in human resources is completely different. In the thousands and thousands of people that I've worked with, I found very little who found grounding or direction in their jobs. If anything, their jobs were probably the biggest obstacles or stressors in their life.
interesting.
So, because of my own professional experiences, I find it a little bit easier to kind of write from the perspective of what somebody is outside of the workplace
Right.
and how that impacts things that happen to them in the work.
You published Ginger Snapped just 6 months after The Mentor. That's some going. Did you already have the stories outlined for both, or did you have a eureka moment and just started writing Ginger Snapped right after publishing The Mentor?
Actually, I wrote Ginger Snapped first.
Oh, right. So why
It
did you
was,
why did you publish that second then?
I paused before publishing it. It was kind of a labor of love because it is somewhat based um, very loosely on myself.
Right.
So during that pause, I'm not someone that sits idle. I need to always be kind of moving. So I sat down and wrote The Mentor, and I wrote that book in 3 months. Like
Wow.
it just kind of poured out of me. Uh, and so I published it, and then I returned to Ginger Snap, kind of
Inter-
renewed, refreshed.
Interesting, because my book poured out of me too. I think I did it in about 6 weeks. It was just like a kettle boiling. All of a sudden, all this steam was coming out, and I was writing and writing and writing.
Exactly.
You have some great reviews over on Amazon, including the book is entertaining and kept me on the edge of my seat page after page. The characters are very relatable, especially for anyone that has spent time at the mercy of a corporate environment trapped in an office. From corporate corruption and murder to surprising plot twists, this book has it all. What was the proudest moment for you, Chloe? The first sale or the first positive review, and why?
Definitely the first positive review.
Mhm.
So in this business, reviews are kind of like this elusive beast, right? You almost, it's like you're trying to search for the immunity idol on Survivor or something.
It's
Um,
true.
so to be able to get positive reviews is really the ultimate validation of your work. For any writer, it's kind of yes. It's not just whether or not people purchase the book, but they actually enjoy, they're entertained by what you're doing. So by far, the reviews meant the most to me.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially when the reviews come from complete strangers. I mean, it's always wonderful to have your family, your husband, your wife, etc., to say, love your book. But when a complete stranger buys it and then gives a great review, you think, wow.
Exactly.
So, who is your author hero, and did they inspire you to write cybercrime?
Um, yes and no. So her hero is Patricia Cornwell.
Right.
What I like about her books is the whole forensic angle.
Hmm.
I'm a big fan of the Case Scarpetta series, and that was her world that she knew before she became a writer, and so that's what I like about her books. So when I decided to become a writer, I wanted to write about something that I understood. So with all my years in corporate America, I knew a lot about kind of the underbelly of business, the
Hmm.
manipulation of data, online files, because I worked in HR systems for many, many years.
Right.
So I decided to focus on cybercrime. Now, it doesn't hurt that I'm married to a software engineer, so when the technology gets a little confusing, he can kind of help me explain those technical aspects of my writing.
Well, that's very
But
helpful, isn't it?
yeah, very helpful. So, kind of combining those two things, I thought that cybercrime would be kind of my hook in the same way that forensics is hers.
So you worked in HR for over 20 years and then you decided to return to your love of writing. And as I mentioned before, you published 2 novels within 6 months. Chloe, what advice would you give to new authors thinking about giving up their day job to write full time?
Um, I would say do your research and be prepared. What I didn't know when I entered the publishing world is it's kind of like the wild, wild west. Like there's no structure, there's no rules. And at first I was drawn to that because I felt like I could be really creative coming out of corporate structure. It was kind of nice.
Mm,
There were also a ton of disappointments. And unfortunately, because anybody can kind of put on a hat and say, I'm an editor or I'm a cover designer or whatnot, there's a lot of scam artists out there. So
yes,
I tell people to do your research, like check people out. If they say that they're this great editor, look online, look for the books that they've edited, see how those books, what are the reviews on those books, that kind of thing. Because
exactly.
and network. I talk to hundreds of authors a week via Facebook and Twitter and things like that. Get to know people and kind of really understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah, it's important to build up relationships with people in the industry as well as your readers because then you get to know who to trust and who not to trust.
Exactly.
So, what's next for Chloe Sunstone?
Well, I'm already about a third of the way through the next book in the Ginger series.
Right.
It's titled Spicy Ginger. And in this novel, once again, Ginger has managed to get herself into a load of trouble. Um, and so I created the framework, and this one is going to be far more personal cybercrime related. So, kind of the concept of your devices can watch you and listen to you and things like that, and then people can use that information against you.
Where can Book Talk Radio Club listeners purchase your books?
My books are currently on Amazon. I'm part of the KDP program. So if they simply search for Chloe Sunstone, my books will pop up.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, Chloe. Please come back on Book Talk Radio Club when you've published your next book. I'd love to chat with you and hear more. In the meantime, good luck for the future. And thank you, everyone, for listening to Book Talk Radio Club. Thank you, Chloe.
Thank you.
Bye now.